Hello, Nick Karnick here. Today we're going to talk about using Parcel, which is a web application bundler that offers blazing fast performance with zero configuration. You may pause this video to read through a quick overview of the features supported by Parcel. Now, let's dive into some code. First, let's create a new npm project. We're going to install the React and React DOM npm packages, followed by the Parcel Bundler, which needs to be installed globally. Notice that the name of the library is Parcel-Bundler. Let's go ahead and create an app.js file, which is going to be a functional React component. All right, so that is going to be rendered on, let's say, a root element. And let's create a CSS file and set the h1 color to gray. So I'm going to create a style sheet, call it app.css. Within that, we're going to set the color for h1 to gray. All right. And to demonstrate the simplicity of Parcel, I'm also going to create another style sheet in the SCSS format. So let's define a color variable and call it black, and then set the body background color to $color. And I think it's the ID is confused because it automatically added the .css extension. All right, so this seems like it's set up correctly. I'm going to go back to app.js and import the two files. So let's say CSS from app.css, import SCSS from app.scss. All right, so we have the two style sheets imported. One more thing, let's go ahead and add a logo to our build here. So I'm going to look for a logo real quick on here, and once I download it, I'm going to add it to my project here. So there you go. So I'm going to copy that over. Oops. It's on my other screen here, so I'm going to bring that into this and drop that in, and it's going to ask me a question. I'm going to click OK. All right, so let's go ahead and import that logo from the file logo.svg. And let's go ahead and create an image tag with the source that's going to take that logo. All right, so I think we've gotten most of the components in here. We need to create an index file. So let's go ahead and do that. Call it parcel demo. And then within that, we need a div. I think I can use the emit syntax here. If I push tab there, that should do it. And followed by the script tag, where we can set the source to app.js in the same folder. Now, in order to run this, we need to use Parcel. So let's go ahead and type in parcel index.html. Notice that it's building React and CSS and a bunch of other things for everything we've included in our project. I think the first time it takes a little bit of time, but not as much as other bundlers like Webpack. So here, although it says 2 milliseconds, it definitely took a little longer than that. So maybe there's an issue around that. Now notice that there are two folders created here. There's a .cache folder that Parcel generates when you create a build. And it's got a whole bunch of files in it, which it uses to keep track of changes, and it allows it to basically be blazing fast when it does a build. Especially during rebuilds, they're going to be much faster. And then finally, there's a dist folder with a bunch of other files. There's a CSS file which contains our CSS in it. Notice that the SCSS was parsed and the variable was dereferenced there. In app.js, we're going to see a whole bunch of other things that it did to transpile the code. And there's got to be a map file as well under it, which has everything we need to debug that file. Now, index.html is actually pointing to this dynamically created CSS file and JavaScript file, which happen to be in the same folder as well. So essentially, when Parcel is serving this file, it's using the dist folder as its root. Now, Parcel ends up running a server on port 1234. Let's go ahead and try that out in the browser here. So I'm going to load, localhost 1234, and there you go. We have created a very basic React application with a reference to a CSS file, an SCSS file, an SVG logo, and some ES6 syntax. And we were able to get it up and running within a matter of minutes without any configuration. That's the power of Parcel.js, and that's going to make Webpack obsolete. Now, one thing to note is that Parcel is still under development, so it may have a few bugs here and there. So before you subscribe to using it, you want to make sure that everything you're doing and you're planning on doing on your project is sort of supported. So for instance, if you were using WebSockets and needed a specific setup, you want to make sure you scan through the GitHub issue tracker for Parcel and see if you find anything unusual. But worst case scenario, if Parcel doesn't work out, you can always introduce Webpack at a later date. But until then, Parcel is going to make your development experience very, very quick. Now let's go ahead and actually make a change here to our, I'm going to close some of these files here. And so in our app.js, let's call this hello Parcel world. I'm going to save that. Notice that Parcel comes in with inbuilt hot reloading. It immediately showed the changes here. Anyway, so that's that. And finally, when you run Parcel index.html, it's the same as running Parcel serve index.html. That's just a short for it. And see how quickly it rebuilt that project when we started from scratch, when we restarted Parcel. Excuse me. Finally, let's say you had an application in Express where you wanted to serve static content from a distribution folder, just like the one that Parcel created here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this folder and show you another command where you can recreate that without running the server. So you simply have to type Parcel build index.html, and Parcel will do its magic and then generate a dist folder, and that's what you can expose via Express. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you write them below and subscribe to my channel to be notified of future videos. Thank you.